Dear friends in the Dhamma, knowing yourself. Buddhism came to Sri Lanka on a boson full moon day. It is said Arahat Mahinda met the king Devanabiyadissa in Mahindale on the mountain. He taught Buddhism the first time in Sri Lanka. The king accepted it and later turned whole of Sri Lanka into a Buddhist country. When the king saw the monk Mahinda, he asked him, "Who are you?" And Mahinda answered, "I am a Shramana. We are disciples of the Buddha, who out of compassion teaches the truth." In order to find out if the king is intelligent enough to understand the Dhamma, he asked him this question. "King, do you see this mango tree over there?" And the king said, "Of course, I can see it." "Are there any other mango trees besides that mango tree over there?" And the king said, "Of course, there must be many." "Are there any other mango trees besides those many mango trees?" And the king said, "Yes, the one mango tree over there." Through that, monk Mahinda understood the king is intelligent, he can think logically, so he should be able to understand the Dharma. He taught it to him, he became a firm Buddhist, and later whole of Sri Lanka always remembered the boson full moon day as their biggest holiday. So Mahindale in northern Sri Lanka since then is a holy place for all the Sri Lankan Buddhists. All the Greek philosophers used to say, "Know thyself, find out about yourself." The Buddha says you are your own savior. Nobody else can save you except you yourself. The tool for saving yourself, for understanding yourself, is called vipassana, experiencing reality as it is. It is a tool to clean up your subconsciousness, free the mind from all the defilements, karmas and traumas. It's a cleaning process, like cleaning a wound, removing all the pus from it, releasing karmic energy. In meditation, all sorts of memories are popping up. What we have to do in this kind of meditation is just to be passive, just let the thoughts arise and let them pass away. Now, respiration is a good point to start with. It is easier to use a word or a mantra or God's name for meditation. But the breath is very natural, it's always there. Without regulating it, it's just moving on. It's also closely connected to your mind. As soon as your mind gets restless, your breath also changes. And it can be used for samatha and vipassana meditation, making it the perfect object for meditation. There's also this big discussion between the two directions in meditation. Is it better to do samatha or concentration meditation, or is it better to do vipassana or insight meditation? The fact is that in meditation we should develop both hand in hand. One can start with samatha and move on to vipassana, or what is called the Sukha Vipassana meditation. One starts straight away with Vipassana, and while developing Vipassana, the Samatha also develops. If we do meditation, there are many benefits we receive from it. Starting with better health, less stress, more concentration, which leads then to more success and better lives. We get more wisdom, more patience, more kindness, but above all, the ultimate aim of all meditation is awakening or enlightenment. There are different postures we can use in our meditation. We can even sit on a chair as long as we sit straight and upright. But the lotus posture and the half lotus posture is known as the best meditation posture because it is very stable. You sit very upright and you cannot fall asleep in this posture. In this Vipassana meditation system, we watch our mind, and whenever our mind wanders away to one of the five senses, plus the mind as the sixth, we label it, or we note this movement of the mind. So whenever we hear a sound, we say sound. We label it and then bring the attention back to the breath. Anything in the body we label as sensation. Anything we see, even with closed eyes, you may see colors, shapes and forms, you label it as image. Same with taste and smell, which will happen very rarely, and especially thought. Whenever you start thinking about anything, you label it as thought, and then gently but firmly you bring the attention back to your breath. So the goal of this meditation is not to control your thoughts, it's to stop letting them control you. Every time an impurity arises in the mind, such as anger, hatred, passion or fear, one becomes miserable. So the goal is to stay completely equanimous, just to watch the thoughts arise and pass away. The problem with negative emotions is that we do not keep these tensions limited to oneself. We distribute it to others. So all around us, they get these negative emotions. So they receive a share of our misery. So controlling one's emotions, learning to control one's mind in meditation, is not only good for oneself, but for all the people around us, for all of human society. So we should learn the art of living. Through this meditation we learn how to live peacefully, how to live harmoniously within oneself, and to generate peace and harmony for all others. How to live happily. It's a different quality of living altogether. First we have to find the cause of all disharmony. To learn the art of living harmoniously, first we need to find out the cause of our disharmony. The cause always lies within, and for this reason you have to explore the reality of yourself. You have to look deep inside your mind. Usually at the root of all these problems lies one idea. There's one wrong idea or a wrong way of looking at the world which creates all these problems. So we have to find this idea and change it. There's a story from Thailand under Ajahn Chah, who was known for his particular way of teaching his disciples. The monks there used to do a lot of bodily work as a training. One day they built a new hall, and as a result of this building work, a huge heap of rubble remained behind the hall. So Ajahn Chah instructed his monks to remove this rubble and move it away deeper into the forest where nobody can see it. So he pointed out the location where to put the rubble. So the monks started working. It took them 3 days of hard labor to move this mountain of rubble to the location pointed out by Ajahn Chah. After 3 days, finally happy that the job is done, they thought now they have again some time for practice and meditation. But on that day, Ajahn Chah was out. He visited another monastery. The second monk in charge was not happy with the location. He said, "Why did you put the rubble here? This is not a good place. Move it to another place. So he pointed out another location, said, go on. I want the rubble here. So again they started working for another 3 days, hard labor. They moved the rubble around to the other location. Finally, after 6 days of hard work, they were happy that now finally it is done. Let's move on to practice and meditation now. But as you can guess, on that day Ajahn Chah came back home. And he said, why did you move the rubble here? I told you the other location. Move it back. This is not the right place. Move the rubble back to the other location. So now some monks were really unhappy. They were really starting saying some very unholy things and spoiling their minds. Among them was Ajahn Brahmavamsa, who was also very unhappy with the whole situation. Till a senior Thai monk came up to him and said this, and these few lines he remembered his whole life. That monk said, doing it is easy, but thinking about it is the problem. And this line sank in very deeply. Ajahn Brahma says after that he just did the work, they moved the rubble to the other location. He even enjoyed the work. He was happy just doing it without thinking about it. So what can we learn from this story? It is that often it is not so much the thing we have to do, it is our resistance in the mind. It is our thinking about it that makes it really difficult. According to the Buddha, there are two ways to get enough. One is to continue to accumulate more and more. The other is to desire less. The Buddha called the simple way of life albecada, which is very helpful for living a peaceful, happy life. A yogi masters his emotions and pranic energy. He transmutes it. He uses this pranic energy for his spiritual practice, for his meditation. Now if we spoil this pranic energy again and again through sense pleasures, we don't have left enough energy for our meditation. It is like you have all the lights and cables and the plumbing in your house, but the mains is not plugged in. There's no electricity, so there will be no light. Similar, you can sit down in meditation and sit for hours. It's just not happening if the pranic energy is not enough. So why should we waste vital energy if it can be used for such a great thing like meditation and enlightenment? But that is like an inbuilt anti-escape mechanism by nature, to prevent everyone in this world from leaving the body consciousness and to keep the soul deeply entrenched and grounded in the dramas of physical life. Otherwise everyone would just escape into nirvana. Who would be left to keep going the race? Who would be left to keep up human society? But we need not to worry about that, because at any given time there will be always just a few who fully understand the Dharma and who reach stages of enlightenment. The majority will never understand and will move on according to their karma. But as soon as we are restraining our senses, we get a greater sense of purpose. It leads to a more meaningful life. We have more juice for our higher thinking, for meditation and for realization. A human being is a mixture of three. First, a human is an animal. Then a human is a human. And a human being is also a god. So we are a mixture of all these three. So we have the common traits of an animal. We have the rational mind, the logical human layer, And thirdly, we have the dormant divinity, the sleeping God within. The whole of spiritual life is a gradual elimination and eradication of the animal within, and the refining of or purification and education of the entire human nature, so that it stops its movement in all other directions and starts taking on an ascending vertical direction. Some say the Buddhist life is all about suppression. We talk about control, strife and hardship. It is not unnatural to do all that. But actually humans are very practical. They see our situation. And from that, starting from that point, they improve on the human nature and try to reach the divinity or the Buddha nature within. A good simile we can give is somebody is training for the Olympics. So he seeks out a trainer and says, I want to win the Olympics. The trainer says, okay, I will teach you, but you have to listen. You have to obey my rules. First of all, no alcohol, no parties, no girls, no enjoyment. You have to train very hard, day in, day out. Only then you have a chance to win at the Olympics. So for this higher goal, that person will accept it. He will say, okay, for the sake of winning the Olympics, I am prepared to give everything. So nobody will speak about suppression and unnatural. It's just a higher aim in his mind which makes him accept all this. Similarly, if you want to achieve something really great in your meditation, and it is actually the greatest thing one can do as a human being, it takes all your effort, it takes all your energies in order to make some progress there. So you have to conserve all these energies. You can't just waste it with sense pleasures day in, day out. What energy would be left then for your spiritual practice? Of course, we can also not say if somebody wants to live a life full of sense enjoyments, it is wrong. There is nothing wrong with it, but only you can't have both. So you have to decide, do I want to enjoy my whole life, or do I want to reach higher stages of awakening? Usually the West is known for Bhoga, while the East is known for yoga. So all the Western countries follow Bhoga, which means enjoyments, while the Eastern countries usually stand for yoga, which means reconnecting with the divine or the spiritual within. So Vipassana helps you to examine your own mental and physical structure. At the experiential level, one must understand one's own nature, mental and physical. Only then can one experience whatever there might be beyond mind and matter. So the technique of truth realization, of self-realization, is an investigation into reality, into oneself. It might also be called the technique of God realization, since after all, God is nothing but truth, but love, but purity. So direct experience of reality is essential to know yourself. It's not enough to read books, to do discussions and just to think about or ponder about things. Direct experience on a deeper level is necessary to reach stages of awakening. So we can either roll with our karmic energies, or we can take life into our own hands. We can use the Dharma and meditation to free our mind from all suffering. The misery in our world is a universal malady. So the remedy for this malady cannot be sectarian. It also must be universal. Awareness of respiration meets this requirement. Breath is common to all. Observing it will be acceptable to all. Every step on the path must be totally free from sectarism. What I call the new Buddhism or new religion or the religion for the world is a pure technique of how to control and develop your mind. All you need as a basis is a common understanding about ethics, about living a pure, good life, and then use a technique of meditation to free your mind. Breath is a tool with which to explore the truth about oneself. Actually, at the experiential level, you know very little about your body. You know only its external appearance, its parts and functions, of it that you can consciously control. But we know very little how it actually works in connection with our mind. On this path, whatever is unknown about yourself must become known to yourself. For this purpose, respiration will help. It acts as a bridge from the known to the unknown, because respiration is one function of the body that can be either conscious or unconscious, intentional or automatic. One starts with conscious, intentional breathing and proceeds to awareness of natural, normal breath. As soon as any impurity or any defilement arises in the mind, the breath becomes abnormal. One starts breathing a little rapidly, a little heavily. When the defilement passes away, the breath again becomes soft. Thus, breath can help to explore the reality not only of the body, but also of the mind, making it a perfect object for meditation. The Buddha once compared the mind to a restless mind, who jumps from tree to tree, who always likes to grasp new things. So one reality of mind which you begin to experience in your meditation is this habit of always wandering from one object to another. It does not want to stay on the breath or any single object of attention. It is used to run wild, grasping here, grasping there. So we have to retrain our mind to stay at one object, to focus the mind, and to observe whatever is going on in our body and mind. Another tendency of our mind is it always tries to run into the past or into the future. In meditation, we try to keep the mind in the present moment. So when the mind wanders away, where does it usually go? It goes into the past, you remember past things, or it goes into the future, you are planning into the future. This is the habit pattern of the mind. It does not want to stay in the present moment. But actually, life exists only in the present moment. According to Albert Einstein, even the concept of time is an illusion. So actually, one has to live in the present. Whatever is past is gone. Whatever is future remains in the future, only until it becomes present. So remembering the past and giving thought to the future are unimportant, but only to the extent are important only to the extent that they help one to deal with the present. So again, time is an illusion. Yet because of its ingrained habit, the mind constantly tries to escape from the present reality into the past and into the future. Therefore, the wild mind remains agitated and miserable. The technique that we are learning in this meditation is called the art of living, and life can really be lived only in the present moment. So do not dwell in the past and do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. As a help, we can use this labeling. When the mind wanders away, smilingly, without any tension, one accepts the fact that the mind has wandered away. but then we just label it as sensation, or image, or sound, or thought, or smell, or taste, and then bring the attention back to our breath. Another tendency of the mind is to analyze everything as pleasant or unpleasant. So usually the mind tries to grasp pleasant things and to reject or push away unpleasant things. In meditation we should be equanimous of whatever is happening in our body and mind. We just observe with equanimity. We do not act, we do not analyze, we do not say pleasant or unpleasant. We say there's just an impression. There is an impression. And I move back to my main object of the breath. All troubles are caused by ignorance, craving, and aversion. The mind is constantly filled with these three. All other impurities stem from these three basic ones, and every impurity makes one miserable. So purify your mind, free it from all misery. The goal of this technique is to purify the mind and free it from all misery by gradually eradicating the negativities within. It is an operation deep into one's own unconscious, performed in order to uncover and remove the complex's hidden there. So we have to change the habit pattern of the mind. Even the first step of this technique must purify the mind. So we use the breath. You have to start with concentrating your mind on the breath and purify your subconsciousness. Perhaps in the beginning there are only a few moments when your mind is fully concentrated and fully with the breath. But every such moment is a very powerful moment in changing the habit pattern of the mind. So simply observe without reaction. In that moment where you are fully aware of your breath, fully aware in this present moment, without any illusion, without any thoughts, without any story behind. It is not a craving for having more or rejecting the negative things in your mind. You feel no aversion, no attachment to your breath. You just purely observe whatever is there in the present moment. In such a moment, the mind is free from the three basic defilements. That is, it is pure. This moment of purity at the conscious level has a strong impact on the old impurities accumulated in the unconscious. The contact of these positive and negative forces produce a kind of explosion, and we reach stages of awakening. So the operation into the subconscious has begun, and some of the pus hidden there has started to come out of the wound. Also the process is sometimes unpleasant. This is the only way to get rid of the pus, to remove the impurities. If one continues working in the proper way, all these difficulties will gradually diminish. So nobody else can do the job for you. You have to work for yourself. You have to explore reality within yourself. You have to liberate yourself. The Buddha says, Attahi attano nato. You yourself are your own refuge. George Carlin said once this, I have certain rules I live by. My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. Nothing. Zero. Not only the government, but as a real Buddhist, we should not believe anything. We shouldn't take nothing as granted. We should try to find out. We should try to experience it for ourselves. And only if we can see this is helpful, this is good for me, then I should accept it as something positive, as something good. The Buddha nature is within us. We need not to find enlightenment, we are enlightened. The Buddha nature is already there. All we have to do is to remove the barriers, the obstacles, and you will be free. So jump over the limitations, the perception that we cannot change. We can change, the Buddha nature is already there. Clean up your mind, free your mind, and experience Buddhahood. Experience the Buddha nature within. In Buddhism, we call our teachers or our monks Kalyana Mitras and not gurus. A guru is an authority which cannot be questioned. Like this Indian guru idea, you choose a guru for life. You accept the guru as your teacher for your whole life, and whatever your guru says, you have to follow blindly. If the guru says jump off a cliff, you have to jump. If the guru does something wrong, you are not allowed to point it out. If a guru tells you something stupid, you have to follow it. On the other hand, in Buddhism we have a Kalyana Mitra, which means a noble friend, a mentor, somebody who is showing you the way. But the Kalyana Mitra can always be questioned. You can always point out to your Kalyana Mitra that there is something wrong. And nowadays, I think there's hardly any teacher who is 100%. Maybe you find a good teacher who is 80 or 90% perfect. But there will be a few shortcomings. And these shortcomings you are allowed to point out. As long as you point it out in a polite, friendly way, and as long as you do not expect that he actually follows all your advice. But if the Kalyana Mitra, the teacher or the monk, is humble, he will at least think about what you said. Even if a small boy points it out, he will think about it, and if there is really a point, he will accept it. Like the story about Sariputta, the famous Sariputta, the second to the Buddha, the main disciple of the Buddha. He once walked on Bindabat on arms round, followed by his disciple, a small monk, a small boy, who was walking behind him. On that day, when Sariputta was wearing his robe a little carelessly, it was hanging down and touching the road, so it got dirty. The young boy said in a respectful way, "Excuse me, sir, but I don't think you are wearing your robe properly. That's not good." So the Venerable Sariputta also was known for his great knowledge. He was also known for his humbleness. So what the Venerable Sariputta did, he thought about it. He thought, okay, what did he say? Is it true? So he checked his robe, and he found actually yes, he was wearing the robe carelessly. So he rearranged his robe, worshipped this small boy, and said, "Thank you, your advice is accepted." Now this is the real attitude of a Kalyana Mitra. Thinking about the advice, and if it is true, actually do accept it humbly. So this is the difference between a Kalyana Mitra and a Guru. Another thing we should always remember is that even if we do charity or if we do good things, we should do it wisely. There's a German saying, it's called Denken beim Schenken, which sounds better in German, but in English it means thinking while giving. So even if we do good things, we should do it wisely. We should think what is the best way of helping. Like there's this story from India, a woman, a European woman, offered a huge amount of money to a beggar on the street, thinking, I want to do something good for this poor fellow. But the next day, the beggar was almost dead, because he used all this money to buy liquor, and he was drinking the whole night till in the morning he was unconscious. So it was not really a wise way of helping. She should have thought twice of how to help this beggar in a more wise or better way. So even if we do charity or do good things, we should try to do it wisely, to do it in a good way. So make the best use of all your time, use the opportunity, use the technique of meditation, and to liberate yourself from the bondages of craving, aversion, delusion, and to enjoy real peace, real harm, real happiness. Real happiness to you all. May you all be well and happy, enjoy your life, be able to continue your Dharma path, may you able to make progress in your meditation and reach stages of awakening and enlightenment. Sadhu.